Hi everyone, this is David, and I want to take just a few minutes to review with everyone your outstanding work in your Week 3 conference. As you know, both threads ask you to compose tables, and so one of the first things I've noticed is that there has been a really tremendous growth in this class in your ability to make attractive, functional, visually appealing tables. I think you're getting ideas from each other. I think there's some competition going on, but what I'm seeing are some really outstanding tables. And that's important because the first thing I wanted to tell you is the table that you did contrasting the characteristics of writer-based prose versus reader-based prose is the table that I want you to use as the last part of project number 2. So if you read the assignment directions of project number 2, it calls for you to end with a table showing as many differences as you can or that you think are salient for your audience between writer-based prose and reader-based prose. So that's reason number 1. I want to talk about those tables. Reason number 2, in your project 2, in terms of content, one of the main things that I'm looking for is your ability to translate or transform writer-based prose, the bad stuff, into reader-based prose, the good stuff. And be able to tell what you did, to analyze what you did and why you did it. And that's why the information in those tables that you did this week is so important. You can use the information in those tables and the information you saw in other tables to help you analyze those two samples, writer-based prose and reader-based prose, that you are presenting as instructional tools for your audience or your staff. So those tables in that first thread are important for at least those 2 reasons, and there's probably some more reasons. Now, the next thread I always find fascinating because classes differ so much. This is the 4 mistakes writers make. And this is the first class, congratulations, that I've ever had where the number of speed writers, people who already do speed writing or block writing as a matter of course, outnumber the number of people who identified themselves as head writers. Being one or the other is not good or worse, better or worse, excuse me. You have to work out for yourself your individual process of writing and be flexible enough to change that process according to the project. Some projects, and I think, I forget who pointed this out, some projects you can sit down and dash it off in a few minutes. Some projects require a tremendous amount of planning if you're going to be successful at them. So having a process, everyone has one whether you know it or not, but 2, being conscious of the process, and then 3, once you're conscious of the process, being able to alter that process, tweak it according to your time frame and the project that you're doing. So that's the real purpose of the thread, not to say one thing is better than the other. The other thing I wanted to talk about was procrastination, because so many of you mentioned procrastination. Some of you kind of denigrated yourselves because you're a procrastinator. That it came out of your fear of failure, and I certainly identify with that, and I've written about that. But I also want you to know that at times procrastination can be a legitimate tool. Procrastination can point out that maybe you're not prepared yet to write this paper. Maybe you haven't done everything you need to do. It may point out that you don't know where to begin. Sometimes beginning at the beginning, writing of a project, is not the best place to begin. Sometimes the middle or the end is. So it might mean that you haven't found the place to start. It might mean that you don't have a strong enough outline yet. So procrastination is not necessarily a really bad thing. You will know it when it is. You will know it when you're being fearful and you're putting it off and you're putting it off simply because you don't like writing, and you find it if not a terrifying activity, at least a distasteful activity. You know that, and that is true procrastination. But there are other times when you're just not ready. That ties into this other comment that I found fascinating. And this is from John Lamb. And he said, to him, brainstorms happen in unexpected places. Yes, they do. Because your subconscious mind is often working on problems of the day or problems of the week. And when it's got a solution, your subconscious mind doesn't know whether it's day or night. Your subconscious mind doesn't know whether you're having a cocktail or whether you're in the middle of changing a part on an airplane. Your subconscious mind just knows, here it comes. Now, what I want you to do, whenever these brainstorms happen, whenever the tumblers start clicking in place, recognize that as an intuitive, important moment in the writing process. Your intuitive mind is trying to say something to you. So try to stop what you're doing, grab a cocktail napkin, and get it down. I keep a notebook and pen beside my bed. I keep a notebook and pen next to me in the car, God, please don't tell the police, when I'm driving, because you don't know when they'll happen, and you want to capture that intuitive insight as quickly as you can. So when brainstorms happen, when your subconscious mind has finally got it figured out, get it down. Let it happen. Give it room to happen. I was not surprised by the number of comments that relate to the drudgery of school writing. When you're going to school, you're also working and taking care of a family. And these writing projects come up, you know they're just for a grade. You're not turning them into a boss. You just want to get the grade you want to get through that course. So a lot of the habits, and I want you to recognize this and admit it to yourself, a lot of the habits that you're talking about are specific to the drudgery of academic school writing. And you know that in the workplace, when it really counts, that's when you'll make that writing process list table like I had you do in the second thread, because it counts. And you know you really got to have it together. Last thing I wanted to say, and this is what did surprise me, was the number of you who are using your spouses as proofreaders. Well, first, I admire your spouses for doing it, because your spouses are in a kind of a lose-lose situation. And ask yourself, how honest can a spouse really be? You know, that even in these honest, open relationships, it takes a lot of practice before your spouse is ready to give you unfettered, unchained, raw feedback. Also, it puts a lot of pressure on your spouse. And some of you mentioned the EWC and how it's difficult to have time to work in the EWC. That's fine. But just give it to somebody else besides your spouse. You know, how about each other in this class? How about that? And just get that objective second set of eyes that does not have the emotional baggage of your poor spouses. And I praise them mightily. Okay, that's about it. You guys get to work on Project 2, and I will talk to you later.